This is how to make your scented candle smell stronger. Listen up, because many candle makers don't truly understand why their candle's hot or cold throw is weak, but there are many ways to make it stronger. And while your next candle could be the strongest scented candle you've ever created, all this hot and cold throw talk could be wasted if you don't know the reasons why a scented candle doesn't smell strong to begin with. But what makes a good hot or cold throw? What do successful candle makers know that you don't? The best scented candles are created by knowing which factors make a candle scent strong, and this video will walk you through them all. Let's go. Hi, my name is Jay Catalano. There are numerous factors contributing to a candle scent not being as strong as desired, and each of these factors can be grouped into 3 categories. However, before we break down each category and their factors that will go into them, what is hot or cold throw? The cold throw of a candle refers to the scent it gives off when it is not lit. It's the aroma you experience when you first smell the candle before lighting it. This aspect is crucial for understanding how the candle will smell in its unburned state, and one of the main reasons you will either buy it or look for something else. The hot throw of a candle refers to the scent it releases when it's burning. It's the fragrance that fills the air when the candle is lit and has been burning for a while. This aspect is important because it helps determine how strong the candle smells while it's burning. Ultimately, the hot throw is the major reason you'll want to buy the candle again in the future. Now that we know what hot and cold throw are, let's dive deep into understanding why your candle's scent might not be as strong as you'd like. And while this video will deal with both hot and cold throw, I'll reference hot throw more frequently because that is a topic more people are interested in. But keep in mind, this video also applies to cold throw. There are several factors that we need to go through, and each of those can be listed in one of 3 key categories. Knowing and understanding this information can greatly increase your candle's scent. The 3 categories are perception, process, and product. Category 1, perception. Although I'm not a psychologist, it's important to acknowledge the significant role psychology plays in shaping our perception, including how we experience scents. Understanding the psychological aspects of scented candles can provide valuable insights into their perceived strength and impact. Now, there are 4 factors that go into this category, and you need to be aware of these factors so that you can either accept them or change them if you can. Number 1, expectation bias. Whether you know it or not, you have a preconceived notion of how strong you think a candle should smell. It's pretty safe to say you have burned candles in the past, and that scent that you smelled helped to shape your belief on how strong a candle should smell. The more candles you've experienced, the more that belief strengthened.
And the truth shall set you free.
Think of it like this. Have you ever had family and friends rant and rave about a particular movie that they absolutely loved? Oh my God, you have to go see that movie Shine. It's absolutely brilliant. And that wonderful actor, Jay Catalano, he's in it.
It's double the market price. 2 languages, no?
Convinced, you watch the film, but interestingly, you don't feel anywhere as enthusiastic about the film like those who convinced you to see it in the first place. In fact, you think it sucked. Why? Because you have what is called expectation bias. Expectation bias is where high expectations set by others create a standard that the movie may fail to meet, leading to disappointment and a negative perception despite its actual quality. This expectation bias is true in candle making. Our past experiences have shaped our belief, and so we sometimes get disappointed by our creative efforts. How can we fix this? For one, understand that expectation bias is an actual thing. By understanding that this can occur, it might help to ease up on your expectations. A good workaround for this is to have someone else test the hot throw and use their experience for a more accurate interpretation. Don't tell them what to look out for or what to expect. Doing so might lead to more expectation bias. Number 2, nose blindness. An article titled Olfactory Adaptation and Its Implication for Perception, authored by Pamela Dalton and Andrea Dietrich, was published in the journal Chemical Senses. It was noted that one psychological factor influencing our perception of scented candles is known as olfactory adaptation, aka nose blindness. This phenomenon refers to the tendency of our sense of smell to become less sensitive to a particular scent over time as our brain adjusts to the continuous stimulation. As a result, what initially appears as a strong scent may gradually become less noticeable or potent. Now, obviously, you could be stuffy from allergies or a cold. COVID is infamous for taking away our sense of smell. But if you feel fine and don't think a sickness is hindering your sense of smell, it could be nose blindness. How do you fix this? One of the best ways to fix this is to stop burning your candle for a while, or if you are anxiously waiting to test out your candle, you can try changing what you are smelling altogether. What I mean is, if you are burning a lemon-scented candle and can't smell it, try smelling some coffee grinds or onions for a short amount of time. Doing so can sometimes reset your senses and get your nose back to where it needs to be. Another way to fix this is by letting a friend or family do the smelling for you. Quick story. I suffered from a condition called vocal cord dysfunction, and without getting too far off course, VCD is a condition where the vocal cords close involuntarily during respiration, leading to a difficulty in breathing and a sensation of choking.
Yes, that's now fine.
One of the main triggers of VCD is strong scents, so for a long time I hired nose professionals to smell my candle scent for me. Who were my nose professionals that I hired? My kids. And trust me, if you ever want brutal honesty, just ask your kids. Number 3, stress or anxiety. High levels of stress or anxiety can affect the ability to perceive smells effectively. People who are stressed may have decreased olfactory sensitivity. Ironically, the very candle you're testing might become the very stressor that diminishes your ability to appreciate its scent. What I mean is, if you are stressed about the candle testing process,
Listen up, people! I have anxiety!
which is quite common, your stress could be affecting your sense of smell. Dr. J. Pinto, Associate Professor of Surgery at the University of Chicago Medical Center, said, and I quote, "Stress has a profound impact on our sensory perception, including our sense of smell." How do you fix this? Go for a walk, have a drink, read a book, do some yoga. Try your best to get your mind off of whatever is stressing you. I know it's easier said than done, but stress is not only dangerous, but it can also be a candle scent killer. Number 4, a medication. Dr. Richard M. Costanzo, professor at physiology at Virginia Commonwealth University School of Medicine, explains that certain medications can disrupt the sense of smell, either by directly affecting olfactory receptors or by causing nasal congestion as a common side effect. This means that the medication you might be taking could either take away your ability to smell the candle or make you feel stuffed up, which then prevents you from smelling the candle. How do you fix this? Obviously, I am not telling you to stop using the medication.
I need to relax a little bit, just take a chill pill every once in a while.
Rather, this is another job for friends and family once again. Ask a friend or a loved one to test out the strength of your scented candle. In fact, even if you have a perfect perception of how strong your candle is, you're still going to need other opinions. Relying solely on your own interpretation is limiting your understanding and perspective, often overlooking valuable insights and alternative viewpoints that could help you in your decision-making process. Category number 2, process. The process category is based solely on the way you do things. Your process. Even if you have a fine-tuned system for doing things, if you are like me, you are always updating your system, your process. And speaking of system, the first factor of this category is number 1, your overall process. Your overall process or system for doing things has to be specific. That means that the temperature at which you heat your wax, the temperature at which you add fragrance oil to that wax, and the duration for which you stir the mixture must be precise. A person should be able to ask you anything about your process, and your response of your process should flow trippingly off your tongue. That's a little Shakespeare for you, by the way.
Shakespeare.
Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a range to do something. For example, you might heat your wax between a range of 190 degrees to 210 degrees. However, it can't be 150 degrees one week and 265 the next. Know what I mean? Even the tools you use should be specific. Let me give you an example. I was making a candle about a year ago, and I couldn't find my mixing utensil, so I used my thermometer stem to stir my fragrance oil into the wax. I waited 2 weeks to test my candle, and boy, did I get inconclusive results. On the first 2 burns, I had a very strong hot throw, and then nothing for about 3 burns. Then when I lit it again after the 5th burn, I got a really strong scent emanating from my candle. I busted my butt trying to figure out what went wrong, and then I realized I stirred my mixture, because I took notes, with a very thin and unstirrable item. You can't mix something together with a very thin instrument. You need something specific to mix your contents properly. After realizing my mistake, I created a new candle with the correct stirring utensil, and it was perfection city from start to finish. So how do you fix this? Be specific with your process and write everything down. I'm sure you already are doing that to a large extent, right? But don't get complacent and think, well, I don't need to be jotting down the ambient temperature of the room, or I don't need to stir my wax for 2 minutes, or I don't need to stir my candle wax in an airtight bag. That won't affect the hot throw. See how that works out for you. Create a specific system for yourself and write everything down. Number 2, fragrance load. In your process, you have developed a certain percentage load of fragrance oil you add to your candles. Sometimes that percentage is 6%, 8%, 10%, 12%, or more. Now, to be honest,
I'm just being honest.
I have heard of people using up to 15%, but that sounds bonkers. And to continue with that honesty, I have never tried to add that much fragrance oil to my candles. That just seems excessive and irresponsible. However, there is a sweet spot that one must find to get the desired scented effect that we are looking for. And keep in mind that adding more fragrance oil to your wax doesn't necessarily mean better hot or cold throw. I know it seemed like the more you add, the better it should be, but it's not. Think of it like shampoo. Adding more shampoo than you need doesn't make your hair cleaner. In fact, it is unnecessary, harmful to your hair and scalp, especially over the long term, and downright wasteful. How do you fix this? Finding the right fragrance load for your process is really dependent on your testing. I suggest testing various fragrance oil loads to see what works best for you. If you make a few candles with different percentage loads, you will be able to tell exactly which percentage works best for you and your senses. On the surface, you might think it's wasteful to test multiple fragrance oil loads to find that sweet spot, but it's actually not. Rather, it's the exact opposite. For example, let's say you test a candle with 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10% fragrance oil loads. During your testing, you find that the candle with 7% fragrance oil load was just as strong as 8 and actually better than 9 and 10. In this case, conducting this test saved money and will save you money in the future compared to simply replicating others' candle making practices. Number 3, cure time. If I had a nickel for every time I heard someone say, I am so impatient and I burned my candle the day after I made it, I'd be a billionaire. Listen, there are two ways to handle how long the cure time is for your specific wax. Or better said, how long you have to wait before burning your candle. The first way is quite simple. Wait 2 weeks, period.
Waiting.
There is no scientific proof that one needs to wait 2 weeks, 1 week, a month, or whatever number you want to add to that statement. However, the overall consensus from the candle making community is about 2 weeks. Now I know there are nuances to that statement, but 2 weeks is a pretty good time frame without having to worry if you are sabotaging your results by burning early. So wait 2 weeks. The second way to actually test various cure times to see how long you actually have to wait for your situation so you can see how long you have to cure your candles for them to be the strongest scented candles ever. For example, if you create 5 candles with fragrance oil and save 1 for a 2-week curing period, you can conduct tests on the others at different intervals. Testing one at the 3-day mark, another at the 5-day mark, a third at the 7-day mark, and the fourth at a 10-day mark allows you to determine precisely which time frame gives you the optimal hot throw strength for your specific situation. And just to be clear, you have to already have a working strong scented candle that you are already proud of so that you can test that pride versus the other time frames. Know what I mean? Number 4, burn time. This might sound like a no-brainer, but the amount of time you burn your candle can have a big effect on the strength of your candle's scent. Usually, this is a situation that is brought on by a customer and not necessarily a candle maker. Or at least, I hope a candle maker would know to burn their candle for a certain amount of time so that they can get the full effects of their scented candles. How do you fix this? Burn your candle for at least 4 hours before making a judgment call. Burning a candle for a minimum of 4 hours ensures that the wax melts evenly across most of the surface, preventing tunneling and maximizing the candle's burn time. This prolonged burning period allows the melt pool an opportunity to spread throughout the container, promoting an efficient and complete burning process. Additionally, it helps to release the full fragrance throw of the candle, enhancing the overall scent experience. There might be other factors at play here, but if you burn your candle for a half an hour and are wondering why your candle doesn't have a hot throw, now you know. Number 5, melt pool. Obviously, before lighting your candle, any fragrance that you smell emitting from your candle is your candle's cold throw, but it's your candle's melt pool that is responsible for your candle's hot throw. Your candle's melt pool is a big factor in why you need to burn your candle for a certain amount of time. The longer your candle burns, the more melt pool your candle should create. Or at least that's the intention. Please know that if you didn't create a well-made candle, for example, let's say your candle is tunneling or the flame is weak, there is no amount of time that you can burn your candle for your candle's melt pool to have an effect on hot throw. What I mean is, basically, if your candle sucks, you can burn it for, I don't care how long you want to burn it for, your candle still sucks.
That sucks.
How do you fix this? The candle's melt pool is directly related to your candle's wick. If the wick isn't the right size, then you will need to retest an alternate sized wick. Keep in mind that there are other product related reasons to why your hot throw isn't strong or non-existent, but we'll talk about that later. Number 6, jar size and jar type. The jar size and jar type can definitely have an effect on your candle's hot throw. Let's talk size first. Hopefully you understand that the smaller the candle, the less hot throw your candle will be able to emit. Think of it like a bowl of food. The bigger the bowl, the more food that bowl can hold, and the more ability that that food could produce a smell. So it's very possible you are expecting too much out of your candle if the jar you are using isn't up to the task. How do you fix this? Personally, I think this is more of a personal shift of thought process than anything else. If you have a candle this size, it's not going to have enough space inside to create a deep and expansive melt pool to extend a great hot throw. However, if you have a candle made in a jar this size, you might change weather patterns with this bad boy.
I don't know what your idea of a good time is, but this ain't it.
As for jar type, that too can have an effect on your hot throw, especially if you use different materials to make candles in. The difference isn't going to be major, but you might notice it. And for the most part, people use glass, tin, or concrete. The porosity levels of all three are very different. For example, glass has low porosity levels, which means it is impermeable and does not allow liquids or gases to pass through easily. Tin has a medium porosity level and can allow some air or moisture to pass through over time. Concrete, on the other hand, has a high porosity level, which means that concrete is relatively porous compared to glass and tin, allowing for greater absorption of liquids and gases. So, can two candle jars of the same size, one made from glass and the other made from concrete, emit different levels of hot throw? Yes, it can. How do you fix this? Now, as I said before, this might not be a major difference, but it might be a noticeable difference. And if you're making candles with different materials, it's important to understand that there could be a difference in hot throw. This knowledge will help you so you can adjust your thinking accordingly. Again, this is a thought process oriented situation, so if you're using various materials for your candles, make the conscious decision to go easy on yourself and know that it could be the candle jar you are using and nothing more. Number 7, room size. The size of a room can significantly impact our interpretation of the hot throw of a candle, mainly in 3 different ways. Intensity. In a small room, the concentration of fragrance molecules released by the candle will be more pronounced due to the limited airspace. This can result in a stronger perceived scent, even if the candle has a moderate hot throw. Conversely, in a larger room, the same candle might seem to have a weaker hot throw because the fragrance molecules are dispersed over a larger area, making the scent less intense. Spread. The size of the room affects how far the fragrance from the candle can travel. In a smaller room, the scent may travel the entire space more quickly and effectively, providing a stronger experience. In contrast, in a larger room, the scent may take longer to reach all corners and might not be as noticeable in areas farther from the candle. Air circulation. Room size can impact air circulation, which in turn affects how evenly the fragrance spreads. Smaller rooms may have less airflow, allowing the scent to linger in the air for longer periods. In larger rooms with more air circulation, the fragrance molecules may disperse more rapidly, affecting the perceived strength and duration of the hot throw. How do you fix this? I always test my first round of candles in the same room. Why? I feel that I can judge my candle's hot throw. If all things are equal, if I test my candles in the bathroom and then in the bedroom, I'll undoubtedly get different results. There's nothing wrong with testing your candles in various rooms, but your main testing room should be constant, or you should test your candles in comparative sized rooms. So I test my candles in this big room with high ceilings and 2 open spaces. I like to see if I can smell the candle in various parts of the house, and sometimes I can even smell my candles upstairs or even downstairs, depending on certain situations. This system works for me, so find a room that you can make a judgment call in and go from there. And remember, size matters. Number 8, external odors. This has happened to me on several occasions. I can be burning a candle and my wife's cooking can overpower any hot throw I thought I should have been smelling. I don't care how strong your candle's hot throw is. My wife's cooking will overpower it any day of the week. How do you fix this? Don't get married. I'm just kidding. Well, never cook and light a test candle at the same time. You will always be disappointed. There are other odors that can overpower a test candle and confuse or frustrate you. Here are a few to keep aware of: laundry, tobacco, pet odors, perfume, and cleaning supplies. Are there more? Yes, but you get the idea. Test your candles without external odors competing for your nostrils' attention. 99% of the time, the other smell will dominate. Category number 3, products. It's not out of our character as human beings to automatically think that the products that we are using are directly related to the reasons why our candles don't smell as strong as we thought they should. As we discussed earlier, there are perception-related reasons as well as process-related reasons that can influence scented candle strength as well. I listed those 2 categories first because I think it's important that we don't go switching products left and right only to find that we were judging our candle scent in an extremely large room, or that we have nose blindness and just can't smell right now. However, let's assume that you feel that your process is on point, and you feel that you're in the right state of candle making mind to make a judgment call on your candle's hot throw and cold throw, then it's most likely your products. Wax type. The wax you choose can have a huge effect on the strength of your candle's hot throw. Different waxes have varying levels of porosity and molecular structures, affecting their ability to absorb and release fragrance oils. Candle wax also influences the temperature at which the candle burns and the formation of the melt pool. To a certain degree, soy wax, for instance, has a lower melting point than paraffin wax, resulting in a cooler burn. Naturally, the quality of wax can have an effect as well. I can't tell you how many times I see someone say, I bought such and such a wax from Amazon and it isn't as good as I thought it was. Now, I'm not poo-pooing Amazon, but you need to be buying quality candle wax from a reliable source to help guarantee that you are making a quality candle. Are there reliable sources on Amazon? Absolutely, but not all of them are. So buy from a candle wax manufacturer first to learn what to look out for. Then you will know who you can buy from on Amazon, because sometimes quality wax manufacturers sell on Amazon. So how do you fix this? Well, as I said just now, make sure you are using a quality wax and look for a wax that you feel will best suit you and your customers' needs. I can't tell you what is the best wax for hot or cold throw, because that's truly a personal decision. If you don't mind a paraffin wax, then go for it. If you are a more environmentally conscious person, then you might be more interested in going with a soy, coconut, or beeswax. However, whatever you choose, make sure you understand that all waxes have their pros and cons. Wick type. Different wicks are designed to work with specific types of waxes and candle sizes. For example, a wick that works well with soy wax might not perform optimally with paraffin wax due to variations in viscosity and burn temperatures. Various types of candle wax, such as soy, beeswax, paraffin, and palm wax, have different melting points, densities, and compositions. Each type of wax requires a wick that can properly absorb and distribute the melted wax to fuel the flame effectively. Likewise, different wick materials and measurements produce different flame sizes, burn rates, and temperatures. Some wicks might burn too hot for certain waxes, leading to excessive sooting or uneven burning, while others might not produce enough heat to fully melt the wax. How do you fix this? Usually, each manufacturer has a recommended list of wick types for the waxes that they sell. While I find those recommendations a bit restricting, they are a good starting point. However, I have a wick system video that will help you find the best wick wax combination for your preferred circumstances. I'll link that information in the description. Check that out after you finish this video here. Wick size. Remember we talked about melt pool earlier? Well, the wick size is directly related to the melt pool of your candles. If the size is wrong, your candle could tunnel or worse, self-extinguish. If that happens, then it is likely there was no melt pool. No melt pool equals no hot throw. How do you fix this? You need a candle testing system in place to maximize your candle making output. Again, I have a wick testing video I created to help people like you who need a system in place for candle making success. Fragrance oil. There are two things that one has to think about. the quality of the fragrance oil and the scent of the fragrance oil. Let's start with the quality. I bought a fragrance oil from one of those hobby stores, and boy, did it suck. I mean, S-U-C-K, suck. I guess it's a no-brainer that the quality of fragrance oil will directly affect your candle's hot throw. I mean, if you don't use quality products, your products you create won't be quality products.
Boink. Duh.
Okay, but let's assume you are using quality fragrance oil. Each scent has different levels of strength when it comes to hot throw. Some scents, like lavender or vanilla, are known for their robust hot throw, meaning they release a strong and noticeable fragrance when the candle is lit. On the other hand, scents like citrus or herbal notes may have a milder hot throw. How do you fix this? Make sure you're using a quality fragrance oils from one of the dozens who make them. Read the reviews to see what others are saying, and read past posts from other candle makers on Facebook groups. In regards to different scents, only you can be the judge of how strong or weak various scents are, but as I said above, certain scents will ultimately be stronger than others. Inconsistent manufacturing. This isn't a normal situation, but it does happen from time to time. Sometimes the products you are using are inconsistent. Keep in mind that prices on everything are skyrocketing, so it should be no surprise to you that manufacturers of these products that they are producing are sometimes being changed so that they can balance the quality of their products with the hopes of staying competitive with pricing. Now, if you can believe this situation actually happened to me. I was using a certain product, finished it, and ordered some more. The minute it arrived, I knew that it was different. I contacted the manufacturer and worked it out, but without even testing it, I knew my results were going to be different. How do you fix this? Like I said before, this doesn't happen often, but the best thing you can do is make sure you have a little left over from the current product you are using to match it to the new one you just received. What I mean is keep a small amount of fragrance oil and a small amount of candle wax, as well as the wicks that go with that wax. Then compare them and make sure they look identical, or at the very least, very similar. Now, sometimes things are a bit different, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there is something wrong or that it's no good. For example, sometimes fragrance oil can have a certain color, and over time, that color can change. The best thing to do is retest each time you have a new shipment, or at the very least, each quarter, do a quality check to make sure things are up to your standards. Scent fading. This is another one of those situations that doesn't happen all the time, but it's important to keep track of your product's date of purchase. Are your products new, or have they been sitting on your shelf for 6 months or a year? How long were they at the manufacturer? Are they being exposed to excessive heat or light? Is the bottle cap on your fragrance oil on tightly, or is it just loosely hanging on? Here's the million-dollar question. How long do fragrance oils and waxes last before things start to go a little south? While this answer can vary, a good rule of thumb is 1 to 2 years. How do you fix this? Keep your products in an ideal situation and out of extreme environments. If you are using a lot of products quite often, then chances are this situation will never really affect you. However, keep track of how long you have had your products, and even if you make a bunch of candles, jot down the date so you know how old they are in case you aren't selling them as fast as you'd like. Keep in mind, most people create their candles prior to the season beginning, so it's common to have products sitting on the shelf for a bit of time. Knowing how long these products are there can help you out tremendously. Now, I know we've covered a lot in this video, and for good reason. Making a strongly scented candle is not always an easy task. However, if there is one thing you should remember most about what we learned today, is that you have a list of things you can change to ensure your candle smells awesome. To help you out, I created a checklist of the things we went over today so that you can use that information to ensure you get the best scented candles you can make, which will make your life a hell of a lot easier. I'll put a link in the description so you could download it for free. And here's the thing. When you make your next scented candle, it might not be perfect, or the one after that. But guess what? Success isn't linear. Making candles is both an art form as well as a science, and balancing the two is not always an easy task. However, if you carefully go through the checklist we went over today, you will find success much faster than if you didn't. And take a look at these videos that are popping up now. They're going to help you on your concrete, hydrostone, and candle making journey. Until next time, thanks for watching. Ciao.